Howdy, I'm Digi Dane, and I'm waiting for my 2.5 set case to come in. Please, I need it now. I'm so impatient. So until then, I'm really just pissing about in waiting mode. I've got a really big video coming. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, and I just made a new Discord for all of you. So if you're interested in hanging out and gathering together with the community, link is down below. So if you can't tell, I'm so excited for 2.5. It has a bunch of archetypes that I am super excited for that are already established and therefore getting support, and a bunch of archetypes that are completely new. So what I wanted to do today is list out the top 5 decks that I'm most excited for that's coming in the next set. I'll show you a full deck list, and I'll give you a brief overview of what the deck does. So for the sake of me not yapping any longer, let's get into these 5 lists.
Okay, so we're going to start off real strong with probably the deck I'm most excited for, which is Invisimon. Again, I'm not going to belabor every single one of these cards because we're going to be seeing them in like a day or two anyway, but basically the point of Invisimon is if you ever played Ravemon, it's kind of like that. You're essentially swinging, if it'll jam into security, it'll pop that top card off the top and then go into security for you, and then if that security lives, you get to play him back out onto the field, and then you just get to keep going. So the cool thing about a few of these cards is that they give you really good immunity and a really interesting way to play. Cards like Digimon are really cool because they make it so that your opponent can't delete you by effects when the stack comes back to, you know, just being either a level 5 or a level 4. Makes it a little bit more difficult for them to remove that from you. Same with the Blimpmon, it's kind of here to just facilitate, you know, stopping your opponent from taking that Invisimon or the Oblivimon returning back from security. And the coolest thing about this deck list in particular is the Metal Tyranno is so cool because if you swing with Oblivi, go back down to your level 4, and then you know, Digivolve into your Metal Tyranno, it's still going to be suspended, which means you'll get the protection from all of that effects, and then you'll have a way to set up for your Metal Seadramon Ace if your opponent decides to swing over that, which is sick. The Aegistramon is here to kind of facilitate more shenanigans. You can use a black source and a blue source to DNA Digivolve it in this deck, which, you know, allows you to play out another Metal Seadramon, or just, you know, bottom deck everything your opponent has and have a really good floodgate on the field. Altea is really cool for this deck. He really helps out, really kind of facilitates that ability to just give you jamming through the Kupurimon at the bottom here. But yeah, that's a pretty simple list for the Invisimon. Let's move on to the next deck profile. Okay, so Examon. I had the pleasure of being able to play a few of these cards in the pre-release, and if I wasn't excited before, I'm even more excited now, considering the fact that, like, I had built Examon a couple of times just trying to get it to work at the very best before this set was released, which, you know, it still isn't, but this is looking way more consistent than it was before, and like with way more on curve power as to where we should be, I guess is the best way to put it. Before, even if you got to your Examon, it was not that great. Your opponent can out it so many thousands of different ways that it didn't really matter. Whereas now, especially with a card like the Slayer-Dramon, it gives you protection, gives you a way to defend yourself from leaving the battle area, which makes your Examon a lot more sticky, I guess is the best way to put it. But we have the Promo Draco, we've got the old Blue Flare Draco, which you could probably, like, the interesting thing about the Blue Flare Draco here is you could probably just run like 2 and 2 of the end of turn DNA, like Wormmon and Agumon or something like that, because those would be fine as well. But that is the reason that we have the Groundramon at the level 5 slot, which we'll get to in a second. The new level 4 Cordramon is huge for this deck. It is, you know, jamming, one check. Actually, both of them are. Both of the Cordramons are just so nice for this deck. You get a jamming check in, you get to reduce the Evo cost, especially it's kind of really doing its best to work with the promo Dracomon here, which is sick. And then the new Wingdramon giving Sec +1 is the best part of this card. And like the deletion is okay at the very best. I mean, like, worst case scenario, you're just sitting on this on the field and, you know, blast DNAing if you have to in the end. We have the propensity to run the newest Breakdramon, the newest Slayer-Dramon, and 2 of the Ace Examon. These cards are incredible. They are able to, you know, put on way more pressure, damage your opponent, deal with tamers, collide, block up. It's fucking keyword soup. There is so many like keywords on this Examon specifically. And then we have the old Examon because it is just still, to this day, a fantastic card, I believe. 2 sets of searches because this deck is a combo deck. It just needs to get to the top as fast and efficiently as possible. All right, there's Examon. Okay, moving on to the next super exciting deck that I really... I'm a big fan of Alphamon, man. This deck is looking really cool at the moment. Ryuda is there to reduce your cost by 1. You've got 2 Searchadorus here. The Ginryu is really cool because you can, you know, swing Digivolve into a Digimon in the hand, and that really, like, allows for you to start all the plays with this one. It basically gives you the ability to swing Ginryu, Digivolve in a Hisaryu. Hisaryu will play out one of the Dorus in the, you know, breeding area, and if you already have a Kota and Yuji down, you can Digivolve into one of your level 6s and then continue your plays from there, doing a Sec +1 and, like, you know, what is it, like 15k DP? Yeah, 15k DP for that swing. So it's pretty cool. I think, like, that's basically the entire premise of this deck is you're swinging into your opponent's security, you're Digivolving for a reduced cost, and Digivolving your one of your Digimon in the back as well. It's really cool. Got the Grademon with the unaffected protection, which is sick. And then the Alpha and the Oryu here are... Dude, these cards are so cool. Digivolve 2 for the Oyumon allows you to delete the lowest Digimon when you hit a security stack. Alpha, you know, minusing 8 when it hits security and recovering 1. Like, this is a really good thing. And they both have fantastic inheritables for their native Oryuken boss, which, man, this guy is so cool. What an upgrade to the deck. So, you know, being able to sit on something that is unaffected by your opponent's Digimon's effects with the Grademon on the level 6, and then, you know, they have to swing at some point. You just blast DNA into the Oryuken. This card is so cool. A lot of search. Again, because we're Digivolving for a reduced cost, we are able to run a complete set of memory boosts instead of trainings, which is really interesting. But yeah, let's move on to the next deck. All right, so this is a deck that I'm, like, super excited for, but unfortunately I don't have the greatest knowledge of. Considering that for the longest time I found Royal Knights to be incredibly deplorable, mostly for the fact that it is just really one note, right? Like, you are just playing 1 card per turn and hoping that your opponent doesn't kill you fast enough that you're able to just play out your Omnimon and then just rush 7 dudes at your opponent, essentially, right? I found that incredibly just not exciting to even bother to begin with, but now I'm finding that as this gets more and more support, it's actually becoming really interesting to see the way that it's able to shift and change the way that it actually plays throughout the game. You're actually playing against an opponent this time. We are still running 4 of the Omnimon. We're running 4 of the Royal Knight, what's his name, Magnamon, which allows us to draw if he is removed from the field. Omeka is also here to draw us 1 and just tuck another dude underneath. The newest Omeka is crazy. Like, he's a blocker. He is able to, you know, on play Digivolve into the Omnimon X. He is able to, like, on deletion, just, you know, pull something else underneath him as well. He really presents this all-in-one card, I feel like. Then you've got 2 of the Gallant that is able to, you know, just plop down, swing at your opponent. The new Jezex is so good for this. He's able to, you know, alliance, swing into your opponent's Digimon and pierce over them. I think, you know, this card is just really good here. He makes perfect sense in this slot. The Gankumon has always been a mainstay for the blocker and just, you know, being a hard bitch to get around. And then same with the All-Force. The All-Force just is so good at clearing bodies. Craniumon, nothing new. We got one of the newest Alphamon, which is, you know, barrier on play. He can recover 1, and then if you hit security, you'll just be able to -8 on security. Old Dynasmon for more search. Lord Knight for more blocking and being able to play out things like the Omekamon, for example. Yeah, one of the new Alphamon, or you can. I've seen lists of this deck where people just run, like, 4 and 4 of the Oyumon and the Alphamon and just go for hell for leather on the on that whole thing, which I think is really funny, to be honest. We got 3 of the Omnimon X. This card is crazy, man. This card is crazy, especially if you can get it up with your Omeka. Basically, raid piercing blocker as a keyword soup. Has the absolute propensity to just clear an entire board and really does a good job of getting around protection as well, you know, by being able to pop everything on board, and if your opponent protects something using their protection, then you can just put that underneath you know, back to the bottom of their deck like straight afterwards as well, because usually it'll be once per turn anyway. That form of removal is crazy already. Yeah, and then he just gives himself rush and swings without suspending, or any other of your, you know, many Royal Knight Digimon can just swing without suspending. I think that the Jez GX is one of the strongest cards in this deck, and what really gives you the ability to actually play against your opponent in a sense. Like, you're able to delete something on board, and then when you swing, you'll unsuspend and trash like 2. This is crazy. This is kind of a crazy card in this deck. You'll just be hitting for 3 out of nowhere. And not even to mention the fact that this is having Take Royal Knight underneath it on play when digivolving and when attacking. Holy moly, man. This card is pretty crazy. 4 of your Omni, no surprise. And then 4 of the Cool Boy. This Cool Boy is sick as well. You know, just being able to gain a memory draw 1 is good to start with, but being able to play out Omeka for free is also pretty sick, to be honest. That just gives you more cycle, more draw. And the newest option too is awesome. Like, not only searching, but deciding when you want to actually have one of your Omnimon leave the field is nuts. You know, you hard play your BT13 Omnimon, delete a Digimon, proc this, it doesn't leave in the end of the next turn, go into your Omnimon X after your opponent has decided to make another board, just kill all that shit. These decks are super setcon in nature to me personally, hence why I kind of held off on, you know, actually putting the deck together, because you're just playing out a card and then, for example, deleting your opponent's entire board. But it is kind of cool that they're starting to see some really interesting lines of play instead of just play card, kill this. Your turn. And then finally, one card that I was waiting for ages but turned out to be not super great, Justimon Ace. This deck is so much better than it looks. Hear me out, hear me out. So Justimon's like super sick. I really like the character. I really like the Digimon. Sorry that a lot of these are in their alt art forms. Every other deck list I made sure they weren't, but some of these cards are so cool in their alt form. And you'll probably be looking at this list and thinking to yourself something like, where's the level 4s, Dane? You are just trying to free-play out your Cyberdramon with this list, Digivolve in a Cyber X, you know, Digivolve something after swinging over it with collision with the Cyberdramon, and then when you Digivolve into your Justimon Ace, you're able to unsuspend again, Digivolve into Justimon X, give it rush again. If they still have a body that's standing, you can just smash over it, pierce a bunch of checks because you'll have given every single effect under the sun with the devices. This deck is way better than we gave it any right to be, and I had a lot of fun playing it on DCGO. I think I went for 5 and 2 at some point, like pretty easily. The only issue with DCGO at the moment is that Justimon X just kind of doesn't work if you Digivolve over your Justimon Ace. It tries to trigger your when Digivolving effects and then the game just crashes, essentially. You have to surrender because it just goes into like an endless sinking. During that time, I was running 2 Medigallants instead of the Justimon X, which really sucks to just have to turn around and do that, but it gave me a clarity moment that if you can, it's super positive to just add Medigallant to this deck, because you're essentially trying to just cycle as much through your deck as possible, and Medigallant kind of just helps stem the bleeding. If your opponent is just doing their best to rush you down, you can put this dude on the field, and then they have to play around that. And while they're playing around the Medigallant, you are doing your best to draw one, play out a device, draw one, play out a device, and by the time they've outed the Medigallant, the Cyberdramon is coming down. And then you get to do a bunch of checks doing that way. This deck is super cool. Like, I really like this deck, and I'm probably gonna make it in paper because it's so fun. Anyways, that's my top 5 decks that I'm super duper excited for in the 2.5 set. I hope you like them. I hope you have fun if you play them. I'm just waiting for my case to come through so I can do a whole case opening on the channel. Maybe we'll live stream it. I don't know at this stage. Probably. Usually I do. So if you're around for that, it should be in the next few days. And then we can get to cooking, baby. Again, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. And if you're interested in a bit of community, I've been doing my best to post as much as I can in the Discord that will be in the link down below. And thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.